like I had a guy the other day, he asked me to like mail out an offer. He's like, I don't do anything over the phone and I'm not gonna do
Oh, I
anything
love
less than
those.
50,000. He was in his 70s. I'm like, dude, that's gonna be a lot of money. He's like, I don't care, but just send me in the mail and call me back in a month. I was like, this guy's blowing me off for sure. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do my due diligence. So I mailed off the offer. I called him yesterday. He's like, you actually did it.
Well, thank you for joining us this week on the Elite Sales Podcast. I'm joined in studio this week by Clifton Henry with FFL Generational. And then we got Mark Banks, relatively new agent. How long you been in now?
2 months.
2 months. So
Yeah.
you're a new agent.
Sounds about right.
Brand new, yeah.
So tell us where you come from before we get started with everything else.
Well, I've been in the insurance industry for about 4 years now. So I'm not brand new,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of different experiences in my career. I did a car rental company for a very long time. I enjoyed that. I mean, got to wear a suit every day.
Get to wear a suit.
Got to wear a
Did
suit
you have to wash cars in suits?
in a suit in hot weather, in snow. I mean, it was fun though. I mean, the clients are pretty cool, and you got to talk a little bit about insurance, and you got to learn how to manage a business and learn the ins and outs. Yeah, I mean, so all those experiences kind of led me to this. I kind of stumbled upon insurance through Craigslist, just randomly looking for an opportunity, and I really enjoyed sales, and I dug into it, found early success, and then Cliff was like, man, it's time, bro. You gotta come over here where the money's at. So I was like, all right, show me the money. And yeah, man, it's been great ever since.
Nice.
So glad. Yeah.
Glad to hear it. Well, going back to your past, I mean, was the car rental job, I mean, that was considered sales technically?
Yeah. I mean, our job was to upsell every person that walked in the door.
Yeah.
Their model was, they would be $1 cheaper than the competition everywhere. So that they brought people in the door. And then once they got in, we want to get them a nicer car, want to help them find the right insurance plan, add-ons, satellite radio, whatever the case may be. So, it took a lot of skill. It took a lot of like just rapport building, the typical sales process that we go through.
Yeah.
It's a very short transaction. When I worked at the airport, it was like a 2-3 minute transaction. So in that time, you had to figure out a little bit about the person, figure out what they might need, and then kind of spread out all these offers, because we offered them like 5-6 different things: an upgrade, different types of insurance, prepaying the gas. So you really had to like crunch in a whole pre-zone in 3 minutes. So I got really good at just like, getting a couple like rapport points in, and then getting straight to the products that I think would fit them, and try to make a sale. And that really prepared me for this, because like if you have someone on the phone, the first 30 seconds is it. If you can pique their interest in that time and get them to listen, then you can open up the presentation. But that first 30 seconds to a minute, it's crucial. That's where you really got to lock it down, and that's really where the sale is made.
Right. Well, I mean, I asked about the car rental business. I'm not that I'm super intrigued, but I just like to try to understand where people are coming from, because I had a lot of friends that worked in the industry before, and then at the time, like they loved it for a minute, and after a while, they're over it.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, so much of like what we think is acceptable for us, it changes throughout life. As it's either you get older and either your social circle changes, your financial demands change. I mean, like this is ever evolving part of life. And then you did back then. Earlier you mentioned it was pretty decent pay.
Oh, I mean, for entry level, it was great. I think they have the highest like entry level starting salary, but it was capped. So, there's very little room for you to grow within the organization.
Okay.
So that for me was kind of like, all right, I got to find something else, because I got complacent with what I was making, and I was okay with living paycheck to paycheck for a while, because I was like, okay, I get to drive nice cars on the weekend, got a little bit of money in my pocket, I was feeling good. But as you get older, you're like, nah, man, like, I got to think bigger. I got to want more out of life. I wanted nicer things. I wanted to travel. Um, and insurance was the only thing that, at the time I was really qualified for. I had a theater degree from college, which I don't know if you guys know, not too many companies are hiring six figures, jobs for a theater major. Um, but I made it work. I took all those skills I learned from theater, memorizing scripts, learning how to read people, connect with people. I used those skills early in my sales career, and that just helped me just bloom and develop. And I would not have made this type of money doing anything else, unless I decided to go to med school or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it was after the car rental place, then you went straight into insurance after that.
So after the car rental, yeah, I went straight into insurance. I literally like had to borrow the money to take my exam, to even like register. I walked in, they're like, hey, this is insurance. You want to do this? Yeah, all right, great. You're signing up for your course today. You got the money. I literally like had to be like, let me step away for a second. Had to like call my mom and be like, my mom, little tight on money right now. So she gave me the money, and obviously I paid her back and then some. But yeah, I mean, I was living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, it's kind of torture. You only get paid every 2 weeks. And when you do get paid, they're taken out for this and that, and a lot of those things you don't really need. And like it's just there was a ceiling for sure. There's a floor, which was nice, but there was definitely a ceiling. And I knew that I was putting in more work than my counterparts. Like a lot of people that I worked with, they just treated it as a job, but I was really trying to get good and master my craft, and really get good at closing. There was a month like I closed like 85% of the people that walked in the door, like that I helped, which, like, to put it in perspective, most people were closing at like 33%.
Right. Right.
So I really sharpened my skills and
Okay.
grew.
Good.
Yeah.
So, well, going back to the interview, prior to going to that interview for the last insurance company, did you know what it was about? Did you?
Oh no. Yeah, it was. I.
I'm always curious
Yeah.
about that.
Like and had I known, honestly,
one that did it,
right, I would have not gone through with it had I known. But I got there and I was sitting there with my pen and my paper, and I was doing the math. I was like, okay, so all I got to do is 10 presentations a week. And I know from my enterprise experience, 1 in 3 people, they're always going to buy. There's always that one person who's like, yeah, whatever, I'll take it. That one guy who's like kind of on the fence, and then there's people who are like, absolutely not. So I just knew that was true, and if I applied that to this, I would be successful. And the commission was great. I was like, wow, if I do that 3 or 4 times a week, that's definitely more than I'm making now. So, it was definitely a surprise, but I'm glad that I did it. Yeah.
So when they told you had to pay for the licensing and all that stuff, and yet before you made that call to your mom, was there ever a thought like, I'm not going to pay for this? Or
oh yeah, immediately I was like, where's the door? I was like, when because like they just showed me a packet, and I was going through the packet signing stuff, and the last page was like, all right, like we just need your debit card number for these expenditures. And I was like, man, like I had to take a hard look at that, because they walked away and I was just sitting there by myself. So I spent like the first 2 minutes like, okay, well, you know what, I got to do it. I just got to do it. Whatever it takes. Yeah. So made the call, and I was like, look, here's where I'm at. And I think this opportunity is great. I know I can be successful at this. I just need a little bit of money real quick.
Did your mom push back? Did she?
Oh, no. She knows me. Like, I don't do things just to do things. And if I'm going to do something, I'm going to go all in on it and find a way to be successful, even if it like kills me to do it, but I will find a way. So she's like, yeah, no problem. went back in there and was like, all right, let's do it. And I busted through the course in probably like 4 or 5 days and took my exam, passed, and just full speed ahead.
Right. So, I mean, with that last company, I mean, we actually come from the same place, you know. So, as far as your experience, I mean, well, it's a different business model than what we run here. You know, overall, it's still the same thing. Business model is different. So, what are the major highlights and the differences since you've noticed coming over?
Um, Honestly, it's controlling your business. Previously we were kind of given leads every month, and you work those leads, and you'd make decent amount of money. It was more than what I was making before. Um, but there's only a finite supply of leads. Um, Here, anytime that I want to go make 10, 15, $20,000, all I got to do is reach out of my pocket, buy, spend $2,000-3,000 in leads. I know I'm going to get on my money.
Families, right?
Yeah, sorry, families. uh, yes. Um, I know that if it's just plug and play, I know that the systems are there, the information is there. Also, the fact that I can help pretty much anyone, because previously I had to turn away a lot of people,
Right.
and that sucked. Like, it sucked to have to look at someone who's an adult and say, unfortunately, like, I don't have an option for you. But now it's like, hey, you got this, you got that. I can help you out. And then word spreads. Oh, well, you can take care of that. Well, you know what? My cousin just got, turned down by 3 other companies. You help him too. So it's like, it just creates other opportunities by having such a large playbook. And
Right.
those are the two biggest things, honestly. I mean, leads, that's everything. You can't have a business without advertisement.
Right.
Like, you could, but it wouldn't be very successful.
Yep.
You make a little bit of money from word of mouth and whatever, but you got to spend the money on advertising. Any business that's in business for a long time, they spend the money, and you get a return. You have to manage it like a business. What is my customer acquisition cost? How much is it? How much do I have to spend before I can get a client? And is it worth it? Well, you make about $1,000 a sale. Customer acquisition costs typically $100, $200. So you're making every sale. So it's just like rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Once you figure that out, it's like, okay. And then you can figure out ways to reduce that. You can get referrals. I'm taking some of the tactics that I learned from my previous company, but applying it here, and just keep lowering that cost, and you just profit more and more. I mean, it's simple. It's just plug and play.
One family a sale, you mean, right?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
One family at a
time. Yeah, dude, I think that's like a slept on, because people always compare the other we all came from the same opportunity, which is hilarious. Yeah. But people always compare it like, oh, one you buy leads, the other one you don't. It's like, it's way more than that, dude. Like, being able to, get coverage for anybody is huge. Like, imagine calling that lead, going out there, they want it, they want the product, and then you're like, oh, actually, my one carrier that I'm forced to write you up by, you're not qualified, and you're not even that unhealthy. It's just I'm handicapped by the nature of the company that I choose to work with.
And yeah, as we can clearly see too, having this many different options, having these different carriers, sometimes all their criteria is different. So all their underwriting criteria, it's a little bit different. So they have different things that they're willing to accept, other ones won't. So I mean, you can see, because certain carriers will run it through, and so with the simplified issue business space, it's awesome for that reason if you utilize it correctly.
And I would say one other thing too, having Albert as a resource, Jean-Pierre, Cliff, like, these guys are on GroupMe at freaking 5 a.m. Like, I saw you
any time of the day.
Yeah. Like, every single day, every hour of the day, if you need help as an agent, there's someone there that like knows the process. Previously it's like, once people get to a certain level, they don't really know anymore because they haven't written business. But to have these guys that are still active and still know the processes like the back of their hand and can give you a quick answer, at any time of the day while you're on a prezo, that's invaluable. Because like I've been in situations where it's like, I got a guy who's on parole, or this person's got cancer, or whatever the case may be. I can post it on GroupMe and within minutes get a response. That saves the sale, because if I have to tell this person, well, let me check around, let me, I'll call you back. The chances of them answering the phone after that,
Right. Well, they lose that urgency.
Yeah.
So the sooner that you can get it, and yeah, I mean, I'm happy to help in those situations, but the thing is, we have so many different resources within this organization. I mean, there's a lot of helpful people. We have all the different guides in which you can go and search on our group resources, but that's the thing. I mean, if with simplified issue, if you can stick with just very simple, keep with the main three. If you have Americo, Prosperity, AIG, and you stick with those and just master those, all the other ones come easy anyway. Yep. Now, one thing I will give you credit for, I mean, when you came aboard, a lot of people from that company, they tend to think like, oh, I need it. And then, probably it's in conjunction with that statement you just made. A lot of times they think, oh, I need to learn everything before I start hitting the field, because I don't want to be stuck in the house not knowing what to show or how to answer a question. Whereas you just hop right into it.
Like Cliff remembers, I called him my very first sale. Sorry, third sale, but first sale from a lead. I called Cliff because I couldn't figure out like the email authorization. So I literally patched him in on the phone call to help me and the client like find out this authorization. But like if I was afraid, like, I would have missed that opportunity. But I was like, I don't care if I look new or whatever. You're always going to be new at one point. Yeah. So you just got to dive in. Like Albert said, find 2 or 3 products, 2 or 3 companies, stick to those. I mean, I was so limited, previously. It's like, now I'm like, I have more than one option. Like, okay, let's do this.
Isn't it funny too? I mean, like, aside from the options that we have, I mean, I had to try to learn some of this too. Some of the more basic conditions that people have, health conditions that people have at the other company, they'll probably be declined.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
And then you're like, for what? It's not even that much coverage. Like, but they have their own criteria. Yeah. Here you run it through like a simplified issue, gives you an instant decision on the spot, and they're approved standard day one coverage.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I guess they're not all the same.
Right. There's definitely levels to this. Yeah.
So Cliff, how long have you known Mark, and how'd you bring him into this business?
Funny, man. I've actually known Mark for a minute. As you guys know, we all came from the same company. But I got to say this, man. I feel like I'm the only one that didn't get bait and switch into like in the insurance game. Like they told me exactly what it was about, and I was like, yeah, I'm with it. Like I'm with it. Like, how hard can this be? But obviously, it was definitely some ups and downs. But that's not the point. So I've known Mark for about 5 years now.
It's
about
been
5
a minute,
years. Yeah. I've known him for 5 years more or less. We came from the same company. Yeah, when he came in, he was actually working with Marlon. You guys know him pretty well. And we kind of got close. We used to hang out often. Obviously, we were on the same team. All of us were on the same teams. We hung out a lot and so on and so forth. And then after I left, I forgot. I actually hit Mark up a few times when I was at FFL. And the first time he kind of blew me off.
like ghosted you all.
No, he didn't like ghost me. But we were talking for a bit, and and then after that he just kind of blew me off, and I was like, yeah, I get it. It makes sense. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm at a different company. You might like, you know what I'm saying? I get it. So I was like, okay, no big deal. So I didn't hit him up for a while after that. But I kept thinking about him. I was like, man, I want Mark to hop on board with us. I think this would be the thing for him. This guy. I was like, man, I think FFL is gonna be it for him. I was like, man, I just kept thinking about. And then one day I was like, man, I'm invite him to one of these events that I had or whatever. So I hit him up out of nowhere. I'm pretty sure he was like, man, why am I getting a text from Cliff? But yeah, I hit him up. I was like, hey, Mark, come through. And he came through, and we talked. Obviously, we were able to fit in at the right time. And he saw where, the opportunity was going to help him obviously make more money, just be better overall. And he ended up making that leap. So yeah, that's basically how it happened. So it's a beautiful connection. It's a beautiful business partnership. So I'm happy to have him here.
Relationships are important, man.
Yeah.
So since coming over, has it been the right move?
Man, I regret not responding to Cliff earlier. Like, I'm man enough to say that. I regret it, because I would be so much further ahead in my career, in my life, everything. Yeah, like first full month, I mean, production,
15 families.
sorry,
You always
15
get that in post.
families. 15 families my first month, like it was like eye-opening, like wow. And the first time I called a lead was just like this wow moment because previously, it was you kind of had to like
Child safe kids. Those
They were-
babies.
You
They're-
can't.
they're
You can't.
challenging.
You can't even talk about insurance with
Yeah,
the
we
other.
know. Yeah, we know. How to
you
do
kind
it.
of like the conversation didn't start with insurance. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But now it's like, hey, I'm Mark from Family First Life, getting back to you in regards to a request that you made for life insurance. They're like, yes, yeah, okay. What else? Like you kind of like look at the phone for a second, like,
Is this real?
seriously?
Did I down the road?
They're like, yeah. Like, what do you have for me? Like, oh, okay. And then you actually have to like quote. It's like, whoa, like I was not expecting to get this far this soon. And it was like,
Yeah.
and then you just start rolling. It's like, okay, this is easy. I just got to do this all day. What else?
And I love your positive disposition with that. But let's talk about the other side, because we hear this from time to time. You must have some people that are like, no, I didn't fill it out, or what are you talking about, or how that does come
Yeah.
up for you, right?
Of course, yeah. I mean, there are some people who are like that. Some of them, I think they just didn't like me. That's fine. But some of them, yeah, there are people once in a while who are like, yeah, I didn't request this, or I don't remember. In that case, I try to jog their memory or see maybe if like a family member might have requested it for them. I had a lady actually I just closed, helped out last week. Um, she put her birthday down, but it was actually for her husband. I kept calling her, being like, "Your birthday is this, this, this." She's like, "No, no, no." But then when I finally got a chance to like actually speak to her, she's like, "Oh no, that's my husband's birthday. This is for my husband." Oh, okay. So you just have to dig a little bit more, and just pitch it. I mean, at that point, if you have a person on the phone, you might as well just, well, do you have insurance?
Run it.
Run it like, hey, you don't have insurance? Well, oh, I got work insurance. Well, work insurance expires when you leave, so you just have to shoot your shot. If you get someone on the phone, that's like an opportunity. So no leads bad. It's just rapport. It's all rapport. If they like you, they want to talk to you on the phone, they'll do it.
So you're trying to keep them on the phone till you figure out, well, what's your way in?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just like I had a guy the other day. He asked me to like mail out an offer. He's like, I don't do anything over the phone, and I'm not gonna do anything
love
less than
those.
50,000. He was in his 70s. I'm like, dude, that's gonna be a lot of money. He's like, I don't care, but just send me in the mail and call me back in a month. I was like, this guy's blowing me off for sure. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do my due diligence. So I mailed off the offer. I called him yesterday. He's like, you actually did it.
That's funny.
You actually did it. So
He just goes in on you. You
Right,
loser.
right.
You don't got anyone else to talk to.
Right. So, but he wants to buy it. It's he's looking at spending $400 a month. It took some cultivating, but you just gotta shoot your shot and just try. I mean, if people feel that you're just like sell, gimme, 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 they're immediately gonna be turned off. But if you're just approaching it like, hey, I'm just trying to help you, inform you, you see value in what I have to offer, let's do business. If not, I'm good. Whatever.
What type of leads are you working?
I'm working like final expense, instant leads. I tried some of the mortgage protection leads that haven't really developed.
So all off the
Yeah.
CRM so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just went in and just shopping cart. Just let me try these, and just kind of found what works for me. And yeah, I mean, they're all good. I mean, it's just some materialize faster than others.
Yeah. Are you working locally or buy leads all over the state, out different throughout the country?
I'm licensed in like 5 states, so like Ohio, Texas, Nevada. So I buy leads in those states. I would say like Texas has been really big. Obviously, they've got a huge population. Washington's been really good. Nevada. I've had success in other states. In Ohio, it's great because I'm from there. It's also a 3-hour time difference, so I've got Eastern time, Central time. So I can start my day at 6. It's 9 a.m. there, and they just kind of like transition throughout the day. I'm always catching people at a good time.
Right. Yeah. Plus, you guys can work your schedule however you want. There's Alaska and Hawaii, so
Right?
there's like 3 hours
Yeah,
behind here in Pacific time. So
man.
you can work pretty much. So whatever your schedule is, if you're early riser, you can start working the East Coast and the Central, and then you can kind of even stay up late and just depending on what you do, there's always a way through.
Yeah.
Now for the CRM leads that you're working, are you doing these all over the phone, virtually? Do you do it in person?
I did my first in person last week.
All right.
At a Starbucks. That was fun.
I remember those.
Right. I was like, I don't want to go to your house, but we can do Starbucks. But I've done mostly like Zoom and over the phone. I'd say the majority, probably like 75 or 80% over the phone.
Okay. And so not virtual, just strictly over the phone.
Strictly over the phone.
Do you come across the problem that people say like they won't give out the personal information, the banking account, social security, all that stuff?
Once in a while, but I find that the people who are like that are not the ones who are going to stay on the books very long. If you present yourself in such a way, like I don't really have pushback about that because I'm very professional, very forthcoming. It's very conversational. I tell them a couple of facts about myself, where I'm from, and where I'm at, and you know, then they feel comfortable. Are there people who are still kind of like, I don't want to do that? Then I give them the option. Hey, we can hop on Zoom right now. Oh no, we're good. Here's my social.
Okay. So, what are some of the biggest objections you get over the phone?
Man, it's not many. It's just like I don't have the money right now. Like it's probably like the biggest thing. Some of those people I do believe them. They probably just don't have the money right now. But like we can qualify anyone, so like that's not really a problem that arises. So yeah, the probably biggest objection is just they just don't have the funds right now, and like it's really real and it's happening. A lot of people put in requests thinking like, oh, in a month or 2 or 3 months, I'll actually get the policy. So like that's why 2 or 3 month old leads are great because most people like aren't gonna buy on the spot. They're usually shopping around or they just are getting their money together. They just want to figure out what the price is so that they can go back, do their budget next month or the following month. They can, kind of factor that in, especially if they're on like SSI or something. They got to really, take their time with that.
Nice. Okay.
How do you overcome it? Like if you were to get that objection about money.
For me, I would say, okay, I completely understand. The plan that we looked at was, this covers final expenses all the way, but I do have a starter program that I can go over with you. It would be probably about half the expense. So if I lower this premium by, 50%, that be comfortable for you? Is that something that would work for you? And would you be able to start today? If they're still kind of on the fence, okay, well, you know what? I got one last option. Let me look around at another carrier, really make them feel like you're really doing some research. You got one other carrier, they're coming in at, at 33% of what I originally quoted you. Is that a little bit more comfortable? Yeah, that works, Mark. Yeah, let's do that. That's it. You gotta drop down. You can't like take that first no and just say, oh, that's too expensive. All right, we're done here. You gotta like find a plan that works for them. Even if it's a $5,000 policy. I'm not here to judge them. It's like, whatever you can afford, whatever works for you. I'm just trying to help you out. I don't, whether it's a big family or a small family, we're all family. So,
So how do you determine how much coverage to show them to begin with?
um, I have a life expectancy chart that kind of shows like what funeral prices will be when they get older. So if they're looking at final expenses, I kind of just go off that as a guideline, show them like if they're a little bit older in their 60s, show them like 15, 20, 30. And if they're a little bit younger, show them 50, 100, 150,000. If they're looking for term, if they've got a lot more liabilities, then, I'm looking at a term product or a return or premium plan to, make sure that their mortgage is covered or their children can go to college. So it really just depends on the situation. But yeah, I just use some tools to kind of put some figures behind it. A rule of thumb, my mentor taught me was if people should have 10 times their salary in insurance. So if you make 100,000 a year, you need at least $1 million, so
So there is a method behind it as
oh yeah,
opposed to just,
yeah.
and you typically do a 3-option close.
3-option close. Yeah. So I give them, 15, 20, 30 or 50, 100, 150. Now it might be a little bit lower. Another thing I pay attention to is I try to do at least 3% of their income. So I don't want to go above that. So if, those options are going to put them above that mark, then I'll probably start a little bit lower, because biggest thing is affordability. I want them to pay this for a long time. I don't, I like advances, they're great, but I much prefer renewals, and I much prefer that business just stays on the books.
Yeah.
So
Good. Thinking ahead.
Like it.
yeah.
So for all, I mean, anyone out there that's, if you're having some issues with your closing, I mean, you got to think like Mark is doing. You have to just be very methodical. Now, there's not strictly one proper way of doing it. Some people do a 3-option close. That's what I personally did. Some people do a 2-option close. Some people just show one thing and then they close it from there. I mean, that's not what I would personally recommend, because, at that point you show one option. It's basically you're asking them yes or no, right? And there's just a 50% chance of them giving you unfavorable answer, which is not just unfavorable to you, it's unfavorable to them, because now they feel backed into a corner, and then if they don't get it, they're not covered.
Right.
But if you do a three or 2-option close, the thing is, instead of asking yes or no, you're asking which one, right? And then that's just it's all in the phrasing and the psychology and everything else. And if you're there to provide them with solution, like that should be a little bit more solution oriented in that way.
Yeah.
Also, as far as closing down, I mean, I think that's a great method, instead of just taking the no and saying they can't afford it. But this is also why it's important to kind of start higher.
Yeah.
Like me personally, with the 3-option, I already try to max out on the first option. Like my sales manager, when I first started, she told me, you want them to get the one in the middle. That's what you're shooting for. And then at the very least, they walk away with the smallest one. But then the thing is, if they get the big one, you're kind of like, oh, cool.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it, but that's a good thing. And the thing is, they all still win anyway. That's still money that's gonna be left for the family, and you got to look at it that way. So, I was gonna ask you a question about your as far as the transition into here with FFL. I mean, like, are you feeling more confident to that other people where we previously worked, more and more people could actually do what we're doing here? Even because I think a lot of times people get stuck in the idea of like, I don't want to buy my own leads and all the other stuff.
I think that this is the most duplicatable and scalable version of selling insurance, period.
Yep.
Because everywhere else, like referrals, that's finite. Being provided leads, that's finite. You're only going to get so far with that. With this system, I can teach someone to buy leads. I can show them, okay, these are probably a little bit more quality. Maybe you practice on these first, and then you work up to these. We can develop a strategy, and that can be duplicated. I can bring anyone off the street, and I say, hey, you purchase these leads, and you just go through the normal sales process. I can guarantee that you're going to see some type of success, whether it's a 2x, 3x, or 4x return on your money. It just depends on your skill level, but you're going to have success. It's just what level, and that really depends upon you and how much time you put into it. But I mean, scalability, it's a plug and play system. Like, I was wowed when I got onboarded at how many systems there are, like from boot camp, going through boot camp and like the quizzes and making they really make sure that all the information going into it, how to get a quote, how to use the quoting tool. I mean, just having those systems, it makes me feel confident as a builder, knowing that if I onboard someone, they're going to have all the basic information to get going, and then I just need to fine tune from there. And as an individual, it's like, hey, all the information is right here. I don't need to bother anyone. I can do this at 2 a.m. I can do this at 3 a.m. I don't have to wake anybody up. I can just sit here and study this, and I can literally just duplicate it. Like, how many times did I call you, Cliff, when I first started?
I don't remember, actually.
Like,
not that many though.
Like, I got the email from Jonah. I was just like, what do I got to do? Okay, this is how you do this. Okay.
Yeah, he was actually really good with getting things done. I was actually surprised because normally when guys come in that's new to FFL, they're constantly calling, which is fine because I'm their support system.
Right.
But yeah, he almost never called. I was like, is he okay? Like, what's going on? I'm expecting him to call me. I'm like, yo, Mark, what's up, man? But yeah, he was really good at getting everything done, obviously because it was already laid out for him.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
probably your theater background. You're like, it's like reading a script.
Right. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
step to the right, step to the left, and wave your hand. Like, you just follow the instructions, just plug and play, and then just try it. I think that people aren't successful because they just never tried it. They're just so fearful. It's like, I want to hold on to this $100 in my pocket because I'm fearful that, if I lose it and don't get anything back, like, what am I gonna do? The truth is, you're probably gonna spend that $100 regardless
Right.
on whatever, beer, who knows.
Yeah.
But if you invest in yourself and have confidence in yourself, that $100 can turn into $1,000. Turn into, and you just keep doing that over and over. It's like, it's a simple system. It's not betting. It's not gambling. It's life. It's real life. Any business does this. You invest. You put advertisement out there. You just got to keep your costs at a certain level. Always work on profiting. But most businesses don't even profit in their first year. This business, you can be profitable day one.
Yep. Yep. And also, I mean, like Mark's obviously picked this thing up very quickly, and his transition was really smooth. But if you're not getting those same type of results immediately, like don't sweat it. Like it's everyone has their own different learning curves. I think that's one of the keys. I mean, like most people and the majority of people, they'll say, like, oh, how do I get to this, or how do I set this up, and so on and so forth. Like we're always like, did you check the welcome email? And they're like, oh, I don't know if I got it. And I'm like, no, you got it, because like everyone gets it.
I got it.
I'm CC'd on there. But so I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think our sometimes our lack of attention to details, and we get it. Sometimes it's a whole new experience. Might seem or appear to be a little bit overwhelming, or people just learn differently, and I totally get that. But the thing is, those resources are available out there for you, and the thing is, if you don't get those immediate returns right away, you don't see that the profit margin that you're expecting right away, that's okay, because if we're using that $100 $100 analogy, thing is, think about all the money that you put into something. It doesn't mean that you're going to get a specific amount every single time. And even if you lost $100 doing it, the thing is, you didn't completely blow it. You actually are gaining experience. Like look at college tuition. How much money?
Oh
how many
God.
tens of thousands do people dump into it? Law school, all this money that you dump in. Like I don't use any of that stuff. But the thing is, that experience that I gained, it did help. I do feel like it helped set me up. I wouldn't be the same person to have the same perspective. So, these are all, investments that you make into yourself, and how much you get out of it is really based off of what you're willing to pay attention to, and how open of a mind that you have, because you can run through the motions, and you're not really trying to do anything better for yourself. You're just trying to run through and proving, you're trying to look for the reason why it won't work. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it.
So what's the next step for the two of you? Because I know y'all ain't done.
Nah, definitely not done. Definitely not done. So I actually talked to Mark about on a few plans that I wanted to, have for us as a team, and what I saw for him, the goal for him. So what we're gonna do is I'm setting up a recruiting program that way I can help him grow, and our goal is to get him in the next 2 or 3
100
months.
families.
100 families. Forgot about that.
You always gonna have
100 families within the next 2 to 3 months. Sorry about that, yo. My apologies. I should know better. But yeah, with the next 2 to 3 months, he's also doing his own social recruiting as well. He's been doing a really good job at that. And so that's the goal for him. My goal, as far as like my entire organization, is to get by March of next year. We're gonna obviously have to work really hard to get there, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes, basically, at this point. Yeah.
Same for you. What's your plans for this upcoming
Yeah, I mean,
rest of the year?
I'm gonna follow Cliff's lead. I mean, he's been very successful here and has built his agencies where it's at now. I'm gonna bring my experience, and we're just gonna blow the roof off this. I want to go all in. I'm like fully invested in recruiting. That was something that I really developed at my previous company, and I'm gonna bring those talents here and lead from the front. I want to write a lot of business too. I want to put a big number myself, and have
100
my
families.
And the families, guys.
100 families myself, and I want my agents to see that and say, okay, all right, this guy's doing it. I need to wake up too. I want to be the first one up 6 a.m. blowing people up like, hey, where you at? What's going on? I've already got 2 families done. What are you doing?
Right.
Keep them
No,
accountable.
I like that. I like that attitude because a lot of times new agents will come in, and then we kind of just I like to get to know them, and I say like, are you looking to focus on personal production? Are you looking to build? Maybe do a little bit of both. And for a lot of people, they're like, yeah, I probably want to like figure it out first, and then I want to
Everyone
know,
says that.
I want to know everything, and then maybe I'll look into like building a team. Right up front, when I when I met you, you're like, oh yeah, I'm really good at recruiting.
I remember that.
Which I mean, so far you've proved to be true, and I think a lot of it has to do. It's not even any particular skill set. I think it's just that attitude behind it.
Confidence.
Yeah, the attitude, that
Belief.
confidence.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, when I find something good, like I share it with people, and I want other people to benefit from it because I'm like, I can't hold on to this secret. Like, how many families did I help last month? Like, that's life changing.
Right.
I want other people to experience that too. Like, if I like when I see people at restaurants, like Maya and I were out at a restaurant the other day, and we had a really nice waiter. This dude was like sharp. Like, he upsold our whole table. Like, we had a table full of people, and like he upsold all of us. Like, and like just kept, oh, you need another drink? Oh, like I was like, this guy, if he sold insurance, this dude would be a stud. So we recruited him, and he's like, let's go. So we like literally signed him up for the course, and he's like trying to finish on Sunday. It's like,
Run it.
run it. Let's
I
go.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know what position most people are in, and I think a lot of times, the things the things that hold us back sometimes, like we carry that over, and then we don't share this opportunity with enough people because like we're actually projecting our own
Mhm.
fears, our own like past bad experiences onto other people. In reality, it's like you're not responsible for them or their lives anyway. I mean, like we're responsible to a degree, but overall, share the opportunity, let them make the decision. If it's not for them, they can just tell you, not for me. But if it happens to be something that could enrich their lives and put them in a different position, like why wouldn't you want to give them the opportunity?
I remember at my practice company, I almost said the name. There was this guy, he always said, don't pocket people's pockets. You know what I'm saying? And basically what he was trying to say is like, don't think that this person can afford it based on their situation.
Right.
It's up to them to know if they want to afford it or not. So the way I kind of like flipped it a little bit is like, don't let your success dictate other people's success. Because just because you come in and you're doing, let's say, 10 families a month, doesn't mean you can't bring someone in that's doing 20, you know what I'm saying, or 30 or 50. It's like your success that can never equal to somebody else's success. So just bring all these people on, man. Let's grow. Let's kill it.
Man, I look at I'm a huge like college football fan, and I'm from Ohio, so of course the Ohio State Buckeyes, and I look at them and I'm like, how are they successful every single year? Every single year they're in the top 10.
Boosters. Oh, sorry.
Recruiting, right?
Yeah.
It's
100%.
recruiting. Like, it's the name, it attracts people, but not only that, they have the coaching staff. They always have the top coaches, they always have the best trainers, and they attract a lot of talent. The coaches, they probably played football in their day, but they probably weren't the best players. They're coaches now. But the top players want to come play for them, and that's why they're always in contention. So that's the same thing. I want to be like the Ohio States, the Alabamas, and just constantly recruit new people, because that's it. I mean, that's how you really grow. You just got to find talent. And some people are really good at spotting talent, and they have the humility to speak up and to tell someone, hey, you'd probably be better than me at this.
Yeah, no, those are awesome football programs, and it's like so there's every once in a while there's like sports teams like they just happen to get like a stud player and they catch lightning in a bottle that year, and then they have an awesome year. They go to the championship game. They may or may not win it, and then they fizzle out after that.
Yeah.
because that's not a system with Ohio State,
Right.
with the Alabamas, like all these huge football programs, college football programs. It doesn't matter. Like they don't have to what's it called now?
Start fresh.
Yeah, they reload.
Yeah.
They don't rebuild, they just reload. So that's all in recruiting. It's all in sharing the opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, before we let you go, Mark, we got a couple questions for you. So the first one is, what type of advice would you give to someone that's struggling?
Man, if you're struggling, you got to look at yourself first. Um,
I like it.
you really just got to look at yourself. And I've struggled. There's days, there's weeks where I'm like, I'm not getting a hold of anyone. But then I take a moment. I'm like, well, what am I doing? Because the constant is me. Everyone else, they've got they're upset about this, or this is going on in their life. It's not a good time for them. That's always going to be true. But only thing I can really control is myself. And if I beat myself up over the fact that someone was mad at me over the phone, or they said they didn't request this, like, I'm just going to go lower and lower and lower and deeper and deeper into myself and do less and less and less work. So you just kind of, like, it's counterintuitive, but you just got to keep, not take the abuse, but like, you just got to keep
Accept
Yeah,
responsibility.
accept responsibility. Like, hey, I could have pitched that better, or I could have said this better, or you know what, maybe I should watch a YouTube video on how to open, a call. Maybe I need to watch a video on rapport. Maybe I need a little bit more product knowledge, because had I thought of this other product or whatever. But it starts with yourself. You just got to look in the mirror and just say, what am I doing? What do I need to do differently?
Love it. Love it. So what's your daily routine look like?
I usually wake up at like 5:30. I wish I could say I go for a run, but
It's okay.
I don't.
The intention was there.
Yeah, the intention's there. Like, I get up, I'm like, nah. But yeah, I start my day at like 5:30. I'm generally on the phones by like 6, latest 7.
And you're calling East Coast and Central.
Calling East Coast. I'm calling I'm calling carriers at like 5:30 and 6. Processing stuff, making sure the stuff is going through smooth. I blow them up first thing, because a lot of them are like East Coast and Central time.
Yep.
And I try to get on the phones by 6 or 7, calling the East Coast, and then just kind of work my way until about 11, when I'm finishing up with the West Coast. Then I enjoy the afternoon. Go for a walk, do whatever, get lunch, and then I come back about 4, and I'll call like maybe 4 to 6, 4 to 8. But yeah, I mean, it's not crazy hours. I mean, I feel like I have a lot of free time.
Right.
I have a question too. So you say you primarily work virtually, right?
Yeah.
What's the best part about working virtually?
And working in your boxers, working for, like, you name it. Like, everything's your kitchen's so close. You don't have to spend money on gas. Your food budget's a lot lower. I can buy groceries now, just cook in my house, or just have stuff ready to go. Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot more comfortable. All my stuff's there. It's like, sometimes you drive to work, it's like, oh no, I forgot this at home. It's like everything's already there. And I feel like I work more because I spend so much time in traffic, driving around. You miss out on calls that way. You miss out on opportunities because you're driving and you have to call them back or whatever. So if you're at your house, everything's there. I don't mind working until 12 a.m. Whatever. I don't care. Like, my agents are like, hey, like, it's okay if we do a presentation at 8 or 9. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
So
No water cooler talk either.
No water cooler
Distract you.
talk. Yeah.
you don't have, so you don't have, you're not one of those people that has a problem. Like, if you're at home, then it's too easy to find distractions. You go and take a nap, you go and do all this other stuff, like during the prime productive hours.
The temptation is definitely there. You look over the bed, it's like, maybe if I just lay down, but no, I just stay disciplined, because I'm like, no, like, I have a big, like, board in my room. I write my goals on there. I'm like, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm trying to do. Like, if I lay down right now, those things aren't going to happen. So I just work the hours that I say I'm going to work. I just stick to that schedule. It's not a long schedule. I used to work 10 and a half hour, 12-hour days at the the car rental company that I worked for.
Interstate
Interpol.
Marketplace.
Interpol. You're an agent, bro?
Yeah. But yeah, it's not a crazy schedule. So, I just stay disciplined. Just stick to your schedule. If you're working those hours, just stick to that.
And yeah, for everybody, it's going to be a little different. So just know yourself
Yes.
and be honest with yourself. If you know that you can't work in those conditions, you need to get out of there so you can actually be productive. I mean, or don't make any money if you're cool, not advancing in your career and not making money. That's entirely your choice. But
Yeah.
if you're serious about your business, either you got to know you have that discipline and to be able to do that, or get out of that comfort zone and go work somewhere.
Yeah.
Final question for you. If aside from money, what do you do this for?
I love this question.
Man, I honestly like helping people. It feels good to feel like what I do matters. Working at a car rental company, it's great. I had a lot of relatives I didn't know pop up asking for discounts on car rentals all the time. So that was nice. You feel needed to a degree, but this is a whole nother level. Like people in my family, there's a lot of doctors, lawyers, whatever, and I'm a theater major, so there is that, like, am I doing enough? Am I really giving back enough? I feel like if you're given if you're given brain, if you're given like an able body, you should maximize on what you're capable of doing. And I feel like this gives me the opportunity to really maximize in multiple ways and help people. Makes me feel good. They feel good. I can help my family. Like, I'm able to advise my mom now. She was in a situation like, she's a doctor, but she makes a lot of money, but they don't know how to manage money. They don't know what to do. They don't know about annuities. They don't know about that stuff. So, now we're having that conversation.
Awesome.
And that would have never happened.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I'm really excited. I appreciate you coming on and sharing about your success so far. I know you're just barely getting started. I'm excited for everything else that's to be coming for you in your future.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. This is a great opportunity. What you guys are doing, sharing the light. I mean, that's awesome. I'm just thankful for the opportunity. I'm glad I finally listened to Cliff and came aboard.
He's not right about a lot of things. No, but no, I mean, yeah, no, that's great job of Cliff of sharing the opportunity. And this is something that, that we all could be doing. I mean, aside from the money part of it, it's not, and there's nothing wrong with that because, like there's nothing wrong with growing together. But if you enjoy what you're doing, or if you see the opportunity, because the thing is, even if you're not necessarily having the success that you want, I mean, we gotta be honest with ourselves. Like, what are we putting into it at this point? And just because we're not, as Cliff mentioned, just because we're not having a certain level of success doesn't mean that others couldn't. So, if you just believe in this opportunity that it can enrich others, just go out there and share it. Just go out there and give people the opportunity. Let them make their own decisions. And if it works out, then great, you put them on and you're a part of their success. And if it's not for them, it's not for them. So appreciate you guys both coming on and sharing.
Definitely.
Appreciate you all engineering the show. And then for the rest of you guys on here, you gave me the shrug. So, and for the rest of you guys out there watching, appreciate you guys coming on and sharing a little bit of time with us. Let's go out there and continue to help families and continue to change lives and do everything that we can. Let's live our best lives as well. So let's go out there and be elite, guys. Appreciate you guys.
Bless, guys. Peace.